For years, my teeth weren't quite right, but like adult braces was absolutely no way for me. But then, a couple of years ago, I discovered something called Invisalign. There is kind of this clear teeth alignment system. And let me tell you, getting it done here in Denmark was an eye-opener and a very big win. So today, I'll give you my full 1.5-year Invisalign journey in Copenhagen with a company called Smiledesigns. We'll cover the whole process, the real Danish costs, the day-to-day grind, the good, the bad, and basically my final verdict of the experience. But here's a bold statement to start. In Denmark, investing in your smile might be one of the highest leverage personal investments you can make, but most people focus only on the cost. If you're new here, my name is Mario, and on this channel I help expats living in Denmark to live a rich life, either investing, buying a house, and basically living their best experience while they live in cities like Copenhagen. First, why Invisalign and why Smiledesigns? I didn't even know what Invisalign was almost until the time I started with the treatment. And basically, in short, Invisalign is a system of clear, meaning transparent, custom-made plastic trays, very hard plastic, called aligners, that you put in your mouth, and then they gradually move your teeth into position. And the big advantage of Invisalign versus traditional braces is that they're removable and supposedly invisible. We'll touch on that invisible part later. But yeah, you can just take them on and off, unlike the traditional braces, which is like this metal in your teeth all the time. For me, the choice was pretty straightforward. Aesthetics matter. I'm a public figure now with YouTube even, and like I didn't want to have metal braces as an adult, period. It was something I didn't want to do. But at the same time, I was also concerned that my teeth, while not a disaster, were still not as nice as it could be. When I learned about Invisalign and the convenience of taking them out to eat and cleaning my teeth, I mean, it just felt like the right thing to investigate. While we're gonna talk more about what Invisalign is and so on, then I thought like, okay, is Denmark the right place to do? And when it came to choosing where to do it in Denmark, that is, I mean, it's a very expensive and high leverage decision. You're going to be spending a lot of time on this program and a lot of money. So picking the right provider is crucial. And I landed on something called Smiledesigns, or a treatment company, or a like orthodontist company called Smiledesigns. And they were the first option I seriously looked into, but several things stood out. Their clinic is central, modern, had a really welcoming vibe right away. They offered a free, no commitment consultation, and they were supportive during this process. They let me explore the option without pressure. And during that option, they made scans for me, they showed me a simulation of how my teeth would look like, and the whole process felt really professional. The team seemed great, especially my main orthodontist the whole time was a girl called Emma. She was very nice and very helpful most of the time, or all of the time. And they also appear to have like the nicest and latest scanning tech. Just one thing, this video is not sponsored by Invisalign, it's not sponsored by Smiledesigns, and even if I would be even a bit honest here, when I was starting the treatment, I told them, hey Invisalign, or hey Smiledesigns, I actually have a YouTube channel and I could make a video about your clinic and I could drive the sales to you and so on. Could you give me a discount? And they said no. So this video is just my raw experience and I'm not getting anything from them in return. But it was a good experience, so I want to actually tell you my experience with Smiledesigns. One thing as well is that, of course, this is the Danish clinic I use. There are other clinics in Denmark, and also, like, technically you could do this treatment abroad. Some people consider it. I know colleagues that have done it in their home countries outside of Europe, or even sometimes within Europe. But my take is that unless you are doing something extremely minor, so like closing gap between your teeth, it's just much better to do it where you live. Because in my own experience, I had to do plenty of refinements along the way, and the fact that I would just like bike 10 minutes and be in the clinic was really convenient. And because there were months, like 2-3 months in a row, that I would just not go to the clinic at all, but then the fact that when you need to, you can actually do it, that's really good. For me, for a many major treatment, I recommend that you stay local. It's easier and safer, but of course, it's more expensive. What I want to do now is tell you about my 1.5-year process step by step. I did 1.5 years, but how much you do on your own Invisalign journey will depend from person to person. Some people just do 6 months, some people might do almost 2 years, and some people might do even more, I don't know. But the way it starts is that you do something called the clean check, which is basically a cool-free simulation showing your teeth where they are, and then basically an orthodontist will make a plan on how they can move them into place. And you'll see, and I'll show you mine, overlay it soon, it's like how the teeth would be moving week by week, and so on. They estimated, like when they started this treatment, that would take 1.5 years for me to do this, and basically they were spot on. So I wish it would have been faster, but I mean, like they told me, hey, like normally for a case like yours, it's gonna take like this amount of time, and it did. I'm gonna show the simulations as well here, but just know that it was work for me. In my case, the main batch of aligners, the first batch, and I had 3 batches in total, the first one lasts 26 weeks. And the rule for those 26 weeks was strictly wear these plastic trays, these aligners, in your teeth for 20 to 22 hours per day, and closer to 22 burn. You only take them out when you eat, and when you take them out when you're drinking anything that is not water. But for everything else, you basically keep the trays on, you keep the aligners on. And sounds like a hassle. I mean, 22 hours is a lot, but I mean, the results came really fast. For example, for me, it was relatively easy the first month, and you could even see like my bottom teeth, they were already almost in the right place, almost up to the first and at the end of this first batch. The top took a bit longer, right? But in a way, it's insane. You actually really see the progress week on week, and that's very inspiring. And of course, the key thing here is that you need to brush your teeth every single time after you eat, because then you need to put back your retainers. So you basically spend a lot of your day brushing teeth, and you also become that type of person who carries a toothbrush everywhere. Maybe even brushing in odd public places. I mean, if you saw someone brushing teeth in Tivoli or in an elevator or in an escalator in Magazine, that was likely me. I know some people are a bit more private on this, but I was just brushing my teeth all the time because like, I just don't have time to be so picky on this. Then checkups with Smiledesigns happen every 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes in certain periods it happens more often, in some periods it happens less. Normally you would know ahead which would be your plan, and they would monitor progress. They give me the next set of aligners. Normally you get the first 26 in a batch, but then of course when you go to the next batch, based on how things went, you need to go again. Sometimes they did a few, something called IPR, not so nice, but it's basically they do minor filing between your teeth to create space. It's painless, but I mean, like, again, it was not my favorite. But in any case, all the visits were smooth, it's professional, and it's quick. And after that first batch, as I told you, after the first 26 weeks, it was time for refinements, which again is pretty common. They do basically like, they do a scan on how your mouth is at the moment, and they create, like, based on what the end destination should be, they create a new batch of aligners to put things in place. Because also, like, the fact that you have a plan in these clean checks and 26 weeks, the reality is that depending on how tough your teeth are, and depending on how long you use the aligners and a lot of different reasons, things might not go exactly the way the original plan went. But again, that's why you have these refinements. And normally you have, after each batch, you have less weeks to go. My second batch was 26 weeks again, which was quite disappointed because I was very doing my homework guy. But it was also tougher because the Smiledesigns guys were saying that I had a deep bite. I still don't know exactly what that means, but it sounded something that they thought it was very important to fix. And I was like, okay, I'm already paying you, so okay, you can fix it. And then I needed to use something called elastics. So it's basically rubber bands in my mouth as well. And it was like 4 of them. They basically hooked the rubber bands in bottoms, and I basically hated these rubber bands and the elastics. Not because they hurt, because they don't, but it just looks silly and look a bit stupid. And if you're thinking like, okay, I'll do this because it's invisible and I don't need to wear stuff, I mean, you basically like, it was terrible. I didn't like these elastics, and you actually need a mirror to put them on, so it was a bit tricky. And yeah, I just didn't like that. But that's where the promise of invisibility dropped or stretched to him. And combined between the elastics, and they also need to put you like little attachments, so it's basically like little things in your teeth to make the aligners work harder. It was really noticeable that I had something on my mouth when you look close up. Again, not like a metal shiny braces, but still enough to notice something up, right? So your mileage should vary. I know that out of 10 people, maybe only 1 or 2 need the elastics. So again, maybe if you're interested, you're lucky on this. But again, at the end of the day, like, I just took a deep breath. I know that I don't like this, but it was for the best of me, and it was only 26 weeks. And it was actually a very good learning experience to know that I could cope with something so uncomfortable. But yeah, now I have a nicer, less deeper bite. I don't know what that means still, but it seems to be that it was very important. So I just wanted to be open on that. And again, I'm happy that that went through. After that second round of 26 weeks, I had a last round that was maybe like less than a month, like a month and a half or something. In between the 26 weeks and in between these periods, you basically have like cool down periods where you might wait for 2-3 weeks. So in all, the whole process took around 1.5 years. And after 1.5 years, they took the attachments, they cleaned my teeth. They actually cleaned it a lot during the process, so it was always actually looking nice and white. They polished it up, and they took scans for something called the retainers. The retainers are basically crucial because, and I didn't know this until I actually did my Invisalign experience, is that once you're done, unless you put something to keep the teeth in place, the teeth will move. In my case was like the last 6 months I have been wearing these retainers 16 hours a day, and now I'm moved into just using them at night, and then I should actually be using those retainers at night almost like forever. That's what they tell you. And because of that, your teeth stay in place. What they also did with me is that I got a little wire that you really can't see, but it's behind my back down teeth, and that also helps keep the teeth in place. I was concerned at the beginning, but it's actually absolutely painless. You don't really see it, and it doesn't notice it. It's easy to brush or whatever. I have been like complaining a little bit about this and that, but 1.5 years it was so easy. I remember when I was doing my annual review and doing my journaling before the LASIK happened, I thought this was so easy. I was like, oh my god, I should have done this 5 or 6 years before. Now of course it's more popular because it was not so common before, but it was really easy. The elastics piece was a bit annoying, but most people don't need to anyway, so if you're interested, just know that super easy, and then the results are so nice. I mean, like, I'm really happy with the way my teeth look like now. And you can compare with my videos from 2 years ago and you'll see the difference. Okay, now what I want to do is do the cost breakdown in Denmark. And let's talk about mine, because my treatment, I'll go be upfront with you, the treatment cost 35,000 Danish krone, which is a lot of money. Just know that that price, in my case, included absolutely everything. And that is the scans, the clean check, every single aligner, like across the 3 rounds, all the appointments, the times I had to go off schedule for whatever reason I had to go. They give you toothbrushes, they give you all the stuff that you need, the attachments, basically the whole shebang. And also, once you're done, 3 sets of retainers. So if you lose one, you can use another one. So basically the whole thing was truly comprehensive, and there are absolutely no hidden costs. Basically, like, until you're done and you and the orthodontist say, okay, this is actually good, let's good, it's done, you don't have to pay anything else. So that was, again, expensive, but at the same time, if you amortize it over 1.5 years, it's not so bad. And also, if you have Sugeforsikring in Denmark, which I do, and I made a video about it that's going to be linked over here, you can get a discount as well at the end of the treatment. In my case, I got around 5,000 krona back, which then made my net cost of the whole shebang, of the whole experience, to 30,000 krona, which again is a lot of money, but if you put it over 1.5 years, it's quite reasonable. And in the case of Smiledesigns, you could actually decide your own payment plan with them as well. And I think there were no interest. I paid it almost all up front. But I know people might actually decide to divide this into 1 year installments, and then it's like 30,000 divided by 12 or 30,000 divided by 16 months or whatever. So you can cope with it potentially. This was great for me, and again, it's great to have the option to these payment plans in case that you need, because yeah, it's not that everyone has 35,000 laying around. There were really no other costs besides the Smiledesign cost. The only thing that I got that was recommended to me by all these Reddit forums and so on was I got something called the dental pot, which is this little machine that it's very small. You throw in the aligners, you put a little tablet that you got from Amazon for like nothing, and then that cleans your aligners and makes them really, really shiny, and it's like super nice. And that was like 100 euros, and I still use it, and you can travel with it because it was not so big. And that basically removed, because otherwise you need to brush the aligners, and I know some people do that. I just throw the things in the machine and it just makes things look really nice. So that was the way I did with the machine. And that was my only other cost. And again, it was around 100 euro, and that was literally it. Then everything else I got from Smiledesigns, and there were absolutely no other hidden agenda or hidden costs. I have now friends after I recommended them to Smiledesigns who have been doing the program, and I think they also paid even around the same 35k or sometimes more. Depends on the promotions and how busy they are. But again, just know that that's the ballpark of what you will be paying for the treatment in Denmark. Just note as well is that this is the orthodontic treatment, so it's not that you have dentists that will actually be checking your teeth and so on. So basically what they do is that they follow up on your teeth, and if they have something very obvious, it would be like, hey, you have a hole here, they will help you, but they will not fix holes or anything as part of the 35k. Luckily for me, I didn't get any holes or any problem along the way, but that was because, again, the diligence of just brushing very well and cleaning your aligners the way you're supposed to. A lot of people follow me for investment advice. So I just told you I spent 30,000 krona net on this. And is it like a smart move, or is it like from a financial independence perspective? While it doesn't, of course, fixing your teeth is not going to give you a direct return on investment in a way a stock might, or buying a house might. And also, I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to increase your salary just because you have nicer teeth. I mean, I think you have an indirect ROI, because like increased confidence of how do your teeth look like can generally impact how you present yourself, how you feel in negotiations in my case, or in networking situations. And maybe that could open doors in your career, or it can actually it's hard to put a number, but I mean, there's really something about investing in yourself and in your personal brand. It's, especially now that like it makes a difference. One thing as well that I didn't know, but for example, if you had this deep bite that I was supposed to have, or I had something and I didn't, if I didn't fix it, apparently my teeth would get corroded in time or something like that, I don't know. But it seems to be that there's a lot of problems that you can get as you get older unless you fix these things up front. So the older you get and the older you take to, the longer it takes you to fix problems in your teeth, the more you'll have to pay when you get older. And I buy that type of idea. It's like if you have something on your, like you walk wrong and maybe it doesn't hurt you when you're in your 20s, by the time you're 60 it might actually hurt you. So having your teeth not in the right place actually and biting in the wrong way apparently actually can have the same level of problems. So it's better to fix it when you can, especially when you're younger and you can actually cope with aligners. And now I'll just tell you a bit of my experience and living with these teeth aligners and how is the day-to-day and how you can prepare for it. So in my opinion, like key things are discipline is non-negotiable, so you absolutely must wear the aligners for 20 to 22 hours, otherwise the treatment will not work. And because of this, oral hygiene becomes like the most important thing, so get used to brushing your teeth and flossing constantly to avoid cavities or gum issues. And again, like I had this little bag, I actually don't have it in front of me right now, but I basically carry it everywhere. A toothbrush, a little flossing thing, and basically like I could just be brushing teeth all over the place. And as I said, like I would be brushing teeth in the stairs or in Tivoli or you name it, because basically like it's paramount to have your teeth in the right place. Regarding food and drink, just basically it's water only, unless like that's when you have the aligners on, so that's no sodas, no coffee, no tea. You can just take the aligners off, drink your coffee and put it in again. I know some people use a straw to drink the coffee. I mean, your mileage may vary, but again, the indication, like the way I did it was like I follow the rules strictly, and that basically, like, it's good. Travel, as you know, if you follow me, I travel a lot, and travel worked out fine during my 1.5 years of Invisalign. I went to places like Bhutan, India, cruises, you name it, that are not your usual travel destination for people doing a dental treatment, but it was absolutely fine. And just pack your supplies. Maybe like what I did was I would, just in case, I never happened to me that I lost my aligners, but in case you do, you just need to be careful. So I always had like a few pairs with me just in case something happened, or like, yeah, I always just be prepared in case of like that would happen. And one really quirky, dumb thing that happened to me was I got, like the first 3 or 4 months of Invisalign, I got a lot of stomach bugs, like at least 2 or 3 times that I really felt terrible. And I was like, what's going on? And then connecting the dots, I thought I was being diligent, but at the end of the day, I decided like I would only take my aligners on and off unless I wash my hands with soap or with alcohol gel, because maybe sometimes I would just be a bit more winging it. And maybe if you put your hand in the mouth when you have something in the hand, maybe you got stomach bugs. I don't know if it was corrected or not, but I would always travel in my little bag that I just told you about. I would always have one of these very small alcohol gel bottles, and I would never put the aligners on or off unless I wash my hands. Again, your mileage may vary, but that helped me as well. And what I want to do now is the pros and cons and final verdict. So summing it up, after 1.5 years, 30,000 krona or 30,000 net, those, excuse me, fucking elastics, was it worth the hassle? And I would say absolutely. The biggest pro was the result. It's night and day difference. It looks nice. My teeth are straight. I feel more confident. My bite feels right. My confidence in the smile boosted. I would take my teeth more when I take a picture, and the whole experience made the whole thing worthwhile, and it was not that hard on the way. Another pros were the good experience in Smiledesigns, great clinic, great tech, great team, and basically very comfort and convenience comparing to traditional braces that I was thinking maybe one day I should do, but yeah, whatever. For the cons, the cost is significant, no denying it, so maybe you don't have access for this, but like, okay, just think about it for the future or get the really long installment plans. The elastics I didn't like, but again, most people will not have to do that. And at the same time, it was for the best, and I'm not regretting I did it, because then it fixed my deep bite. And yeah, that's the last con, is that Invisalign, it's not truly invisible, especially with attachments, especially with elastics. But again, your mileage may vary, expectations. I also didn't go with expectation. I would just be completely, I mean, there's so many videos on YouTube of people using Invisalign that you can actually take a status of how things look like. But yeah, it also requires commitment. But again, okay, from my end, like if you're 25 and you want to be partying all the time and drinking beer, yeah, maybe you can wait a bit longer, but at least for me, this really worked. And I have zero regrets. It took time, it took money, it took effort, but the outcome was fantastic. And honestly, after 1.5 years, it just went so fast, and time flies when you're like straightening up your teeth apparently. My final advice is simple: if you're unhappy with your smile and you're willing to commit to the process, go for Invisalign. Smiledesigns in Copenhagen is great. Again, they have not sponsored this video, but I'm really happy with the experience, and they have been brilliant the whole way, and I absolutely recommend them as well. And yeah, so that's my full detailed breakdown of my Denmark Invisalign experience. It's not so much of this video about finance in Denmark as I normally do. Hope this is helpful, and if it does, let me know in the comments if you want to hear more of these random experiences as well. All the best, and I see you in the next one. Cheers!